Hi y'all, this is Eva from the book blog astripedarmchair.wordpress.com, and I'm here to talk about yet another week worth of library loot. I'm in my living room again because I waited pretty late in the day to record this, and so I needed all the windows and sunlight I could get. And I also am getting a little bit of a cold, my throat's a little sore, so I might have to drink. I've got some jasmine iced tea here, so hopefully that won't bother y'all too much. I only have 2 nonfiction this week. I have quite a few that are now waiting for me at the library, so I'm not sure why they all came in later than the fiction, but oh well. So let's talk about those first. A Journey of One's Own by Thalia Zipatos, which is all about traveling internationally as a solo woman, and since I am a solo woman who wants to travel, it sounded really helpful. Then Jesus by Marcus Borge. I read another book of his last year, The Heart of Christianity, and I really liked it, so I wanted to read more, and this one caught my eye. I think that cover's really cool too, the scaffolding and stuff. I'll probably count this for the World Religion Challenge. And then all of my fiction. West of the Jordan by Leila Halabi, which is about a group of Arab American women who are coming of age, basically, and it sounds really interesting. The Indian Lawyer by James Welsh, which I picked up not only because Welsh is Native American, but also because it sounded kind of literary-ish John Grisham style, and I was a big fan of John Grisham when I was like 12, so sorry. So I have a soft spot for kind of legal thrillers. Across 100 Mountains by Reina Grande, which is about a Mexican immigrant to the U.S. and sounds really touching, probably a little sad. The Night Counter by Alia Yunus. I love this. I love the cover. Isn't it so cool? And I love that font too. So I'm excited about this, and it's a multi-generational tale, which is something that always appeals to me. So, and it's also it's also based on Scheherazade and Arabian Nights, and since I read that last year, I've been wanting to read kind of modern literature that's inspired by it. The Translation of Dr. Apelles by David Truer. This caught my eye because I'm a language nerd, and so anytime there's a translator or interpreter mentioned, I'm all like, what's that about? And then this one also moves back and forth between a manuscript and modern day, and I love parallel storylines. So, isn't the cover great too? Happy Family by Wendy Lee. I actually think that most of my fiction this time is written by American authors, which is very unusual for me. Kind of exciting. And this is about a Chinese immigrant woman who becomes a nanny for a white American family who adopted a child from China. So it sounds like it's full of tension and interesting things, and I was a nanny, so. Although it was to my niece, so I guess that's not quite the same thing. Let It Rain Coffee by Angie Cruz. I've heard very good things about this. And it's got some magical realism and a little bit of memory loss, so should be an interesting story. Wild Sheep Chase by Haruki Murakami. This is for the Japanese book club that Tanabati hosts. And I read my first Murakami back in 2007. I read Norwegian Wood and really liked it, but I've never actually followed up on that. So, it's about time. Swimming Toward the Light by Angela Tahone. Try to get rid of that glare there. This is another debut novel, and it's also about Arab American culture. And it's about a Lebanese family in D.C. in the 50s. The 50s are one of those time periods that I find quite interesting. Actually, I find like anything 50s and before interesting, especially in American literature. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I love Lebanese food. Who doesn't, really? I just made hummus last night. It was delicious. Vanessa and Virginia by Susan Sellers. This is for the Not the TV book group, and I'm excited to finally be able to get a book from my library in time and participate. And it's especially relevant since we just finished Wolf in Winter, so I've been on a bit of a wolf binge. I have one left too, between the acts. The Unknown Ajax by Georgette Hare, which has seriously the worst cover I've ever seen. Isn't that hideous? This is the large print edition because my library only had large print for this title, and Arthi recommended that I read it for my next Hare, and she's a Hare authority. It's for the Classic Circuit tour that's coming up this month. I love the Classic Circuit. The Consequences of Love by Suleiman Adonia. First of all, this is my favorite cover this week. Look at the shoes. They're all ballerina style and pink and beautiful. Obviously I like pink and ballerinas and shoes. And this is set in Saudi Arabia, which is why it really appealed to me, because I read a fiction book set in Saudi Arabia last year that was interesting, but I wanted it was a mystery and it was a little more hard-boiled, and that's not really my favorite thing. And so I wanted to try something else, and then I read a nonfiction about Saudi Arabia that was awful. So, and Suleiman Adonia is actually Eritrean, which is cool since I've been reading some Ethiopian lit lately. I figured it would be nice to pay the neighbor a little bit of attention. And finally, Origin by Diana Abu Jaber. And this is a thriller about babies, I think, are dying, and they think that it's SIDS at first, yeah, but then they worry that there's probably a serial killer out there somewhere. I've really been in the mood for a kind of procedural mystery lately, so I can't wait to start that one. It's the one that I'm starting next once I finish The Awakening. And that's all my library loot. Not too much this week, and hopefully I'll have more nonfiction to talk about next week. I hope that you all enjoyed this, and that you all share all of the books that you've gotten from your library so that my to-be-read list can get even longer. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!